Yeah. And I'll take all the unders on the Lions.
Oof. What is their over-under set at?
I think it's 10.5.
You're taking
You're taking under 10.5?
Yeah.
10 wins?
I mean, if it's so he's talking about smartly, correctly, the ephemeral reasons they might take a step back. Here's real football reasons, though. They lost both coordinators. Every year when a team gets off to a slow start, Coach Mangini comes on. He's like, well, you know, coaching does matter. They did lose both coordinators. I'm baking that in to start with. Also, when you say Detroit Lions, maybe not the first thing you think of as far as this era, but one of the first things you think of is a mauling offensive line. This ESPN article that has them rated with like a top 5, the one we just talked about, top 5 overall roster, it says their biggest concern is the offensive line. That guard, center, guard, because they had Zeitler leaving free agency, Ragnow retire, their weakest link guard now has to play center, and their 2 guards right now are going to be a rookie they drafted in round 2 and a 6th rounder from last year. And I am here to tell you that if we know anything about Jared Goff, it is if you can get pressure on him, particularly up the middle, his lack of creativity and lack of ability to improvise is when he can become bad Jared Goff. He has been great Jared Goff, and you deserve credit for calling it out. He deserves credit for it with the Lions. But of all the things on the Lions offense that I would say is most likely to crack what was the #1 offense in the league last year, it would be if that offensive line goes from great to average, which I fear it may have. And I don't know that the defense is going to all of a sudden, without Aaron Glenn, even with Hutchinson coming back from the injury.
And a lot of people back.
A lot of guys coming back from injury. I don't know the defense is going to be great. And so I think they're an incredibly tough division. They have an incredibly tough schedule. And so I think, I'm not saying they're flat out missed the playoffs, but I think they could. But I don't think they are top fringe NFC contenders.
I think you are sorely underestimating the Lions. And it's weird, and they're admitting it, that this is the year of reckoning. This is 2 years of being good. All right?
But it's
the
two
Bills,
heartbreaking losses.
Right. Yeah. It's ended horribly in the playoffs. Great regular seasons. Last year, phenomenal regular season.
Yep.
And then horrible playoff endings. So I get it. But Buffalo is 5 years removed. So the last 5 years, Buffalo got to that AFC Championship game where they lost heartbreaking fashion to the Chiefs. And every year they've been very good and come up short. Baltimore is 6 years from when they won 14 games, when Lamar won his first MVP, and they haven't been able to get over the hump. I'm saying there are other teams. Now, I'm agreeing that it feels like Detroit is like, they got to get over the hump this year. But there are other teams that have been close. Like Montgomery says you don't want to keep being close. Several teams have been closer for a longer period, and we don't look at them as, man, if they don't win it this year, they are going to fall apart. There's supernatural funk incoming.
I want to.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great point that Brew brings up, because that's what Nick and other people have been saying a lot, is this idea that, like, I just don't know if the Lions could take another loss or another, early playoff exit. Right, and it's like, we see the Ravens do it. We see the Bills do it. We see the Bengals struggle to have any type of consistency. We've seen it happen to the Rams. And granted, they won the Super Bowl, so they kind of have a little bit more wiggle room. But before the Eagles won the Super Bowl this year, it's happened to the Eagles in 22, and then 23, and then of course, obviously the Super Bowl year in 24. So I don't think it's fair to put that level of fragility on the Detroit Lions. Which is funny because I made the joke before where everyone kept talking about how fragile the Lions are, and I was like, they need to make a shirt that says, like, Detroit fragility, like, saying it tongue-in-cheek, obviously, not because I believe it. I do have the concerns about losing the coordinators. I've made that loud and clear, and I think that they can take a step back both offensively and defensively, but to make it so that this is just like a house of cards or the dominoes that just all collapse. Like, I don't think we're going to see the best version of Jared Goff right now, unless the coordinating hire is a slam dunk. And that's definitely possible. But will continue to be a firm believer of coach quarterback or coordinator quarterback combinations. And I do think that, that is a true question mark. And so I'm not confident that we will see the best version of Jared Goff. But truthfully, I want to, and it doesn't mean that we're going to see a bad version of Jared Goff, just not the as great a version as we've seen over these last couple of years. But I'm also on the record saying that this offense and this team as a whole needs to change a little bit. What's worked for them in the past won't necessarily work for them in the present or the future. And so I'm excited to see what this team evolves into. The way how the Philadelphia Eagles played in 22 was different how the Eagles played in 23, and is different in how they played in 24. All 3 years played very differently, different levels of success. Super Bowl, lose, Super Bowl, and the win, right? Like Kansas City Chiefs, the way they played in 2018 is different how they played in 2019. It's different how they played in 20, 21, 22, 23, 20. Like, teams evolve, teams change. Styles of offense evolve and change. And so the Lions, they will have to do that as well. And I believe they can. So that's the thing. And even with the O-line and whatnot, you just got to see how this team can adapt and evolve. I don't think they'll be as dominant as they were over these last couple of years. I mean, there was like a fear that they struck and a suffocation that they were able to kind of put out there when you were playing them, and to me it was real, right? It was like this level of physicality and this level of intelligence. It was brawn and brains. Like, it was just a perfect 1-2 punch, and I think they're still going to have a lot of that, especially the brawn, especially the physicality. But like I said, this team needs to evolve and adapt and grow, and I think it's such a perfect thing because Nick before was highlighting and trying to say, like, oh, these last losses that they've had have been so bad and devastating, etc., etc. And I look at the Lions here, and it's their rallying cry now. Like, if anything, it's there to motivate them and keep them connected and focused. Like, you really kind of need to know what you're playing for. And the Lions over these last couple of years feel like, in a way, they've been robbed of what they're truly capable of doing. I believe the Lions believe that they were the best team in 2023 and that they were the best team in 2024 until the injuries came about. And now here they are now in 2025. And so that alone is going to be an insane amount of motivation. And guys, this can't go without being, like, really emphasized. Like, you do need that. You do need that motivation. You do need that reason. Like, it's like you need that energy. You need some of that reason to just be like, how do I find it? How do I dig deep? Sometimes it could be for your family. Sometimes it could be for your paycheck. Sometimes it could just be because, like, in the moment you don't really need it and you just got it, right? And other times, like, you do need it. Seasons are long. Obstacles come up every single day. Setbacks come up every single day. Like, you do need kind of that energy, that feeling of something, whether it's doubt, whether it's rejection, whether it's failure, whether it's success, whether it's praise. Like, it comes from so many different sides. And for the Lions, it's going to be built on this belief of, oh my God, we have been an elite team. Like, they're saying, oh, they've been good over these last couple of years. No, we've been elite. We've been special. We've been great. We've legitimately struck the fear into these other teams. Nobody would want to face us. We have been an unbelievably amazing team. But because of just the way football works, just because the world works, we've come up short. Some of it you could blame ourselves even, and some of it is just the football gods, man. But, like, not this year. Not this year. And it's just that relentlessness. And it is going to make you go harder in the weight room. It is going to make you go harder and more focused during preseason and practice and camp and whatnot. It is going to make you more focused on that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday leading up to the game. It matters. It's fuel for you. And I think, like, that is something that can definitely unite and define this team in a lot of ways. I really, really, really do believe that. Will it be enough? Again, that really will come down to me. It's more like the coordinating hires. Like that to me is more the question of, do they at least nail one of them? I don't think it's good enough just to kind of just be like, yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, I think then they'll kind of be a pretty good team, and even a great team, because that roster would be good enough to elevate even just kind of good coordinators. But will it be enough to really take it to that next level? That's really kind of what it gets boiled down to more than anything. But I think even so, like it is kind of interesting where it's like I almost kind of see two paths. Like, if you could run it back with the exact same roster over the last couple of years, and obviously I know there's, some changes here and there, but they come up short. It's like you could make the argument, I believe in these coordinators. I believe in Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, and obviously being led by Dan Campbell. But you could make the argument, you know what? I want to see something. Now, they're so great that you wouldn't want to let them go and move on from them, because that's how great they are. But like, in a world, in a business where it's a little bit, because most businesses, if you have someone running like a program, right, like you're Google, your Amazon, whatever, and you're running a program, you're like, let's put Jerry in charge of this, right? I want to see what he can do. And Jerry's had a lot of success over the couple of years, but like you haven't really been able to just hit those numbers that you really want. You're trying to get $1 billion in revenue, and you're only getting 700 million, and you're like, all right, you've been awesome. We're gonna set you to the side right now. Just chill for a little bit. We're gonna bring in Michael now and see what Michael can do. And it's just like in football, it's like doesn't work that way. It's like we're firing you, we're letting you go, and it's like there's no room to kind of explore and experiment a little bit. And if this was more traditional business, you would make the argument, this is amazing, this is great. We need to tweak this a little bit. How can we get a little bit better situationally? How can we get to this next level? Like we need some tweaks, we need some adjustments here. So, in a way, as much as I think it's a huge loss of losing two coordinators, I'm still excited to see like what is the evolution? What are some of the tinkering that can be done? Because I don't want to see the same exact team that I've seen over these last couple of years. I want to see a slightly different style offense. I want to see them play I want to see different decisions made throughout a game, honestly. I'm excited to see that. I wouldn't even say that this team necessarily even played a lot of complementary football in terms of offense and defense, and I'm looking to see both the offense and defense connect to each other a lot more. I think a lot of it was really just kind of like, you take care of your side of the ball, I take care of my side of the ball, and we're all just going to do our own things, rather than really looking at like, this is what our defense is giving us right now. This is now going to dictate our offense, or hey, this is what our offense is giving us right now. This is going to dictate our defense. Like I didn't see those two parts really speaking a lot to one another, and I'm hopeful that the next evolution there will be more of that kind of offense defense complementary football being played. So yeah, I mean I think it's fair to have some questions, some concerns about this Lions team, but like Nick's concern about them not making the playoffs, the only way I can see that happening is if you situation where, dude, Schottenheimer, he's actually an amazing coach, and Dak and CeeDee Lamb, Pickens, like, bro, that team is going. Commanders, no step backwards. The Philadelphia Eagles, no step backwards. Jordan Love is balling now. Him and Matt LaFleur got it figured out. Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, man, I told you he was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. He's balling. Dude, no, JJ McCarthy, my God, that draft 6 for 6, JJ McCarthy is a special. He's hit the ground running. Like, it would have to just be like all hands on deck, where it's just like, oh my gosh, who's making the playoffs? Who's missing the playoffs? There's so many great teams. Rams offense is absolutely lit up, on fire. Sam Darnold's balling. 49ers, Brock Purdy, we're healthy. Christian McCaffrey's, absolutely, on track to having a 1,800 rushing yards. Like, it would have to just be a situation where just like everyone's balling. Everyone's off-season moves were just the right moves, right? And it's just like, here we are. That's the only way I see that happening. But we know that's typically not how seasons unfold. We know injuries undeniably happen. Lions fans obviously got a great front row seat, unfortunate front row seat to that. But I think it's going to be hard for everyone to make the playoffs. I mean, to be fair, like, you know, like I actually really do. I think there's a couple teams that are positioned where it's like, all right, you're definitely making the playoffs, and at the you're definitely, I believe you're going to win the division, and at the very minimum, you're definitely getting the wild card. Like, you would have to absolutely collapse or have just be decimated by injuries for you not to get there, and it's more because of their division or their schedule. I don't think that's the case with the Lions, unfortunately for them. They do have a tough schedule. They do have a tough division, and I don't see many runaway teams. Last year, I was able to very confidently be like, well, the Lions are clearly going to be an elite team, and the Eagles are going to be an elite team. And it was like very clear for me. This year, man, I could throw 18 teams in a bucket and say, I don't know, man, they're all great to me. It's a definition of any given Sunday. It's like, I don't know, man. I gotta watch like literally like 12, 13, 14 weeks of football to get a feeling of like, how great are these teams right now? Because it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And so, yeah, we'll have to just wait and find out. Just is what it is, man. Just is what it is. Detroit fragility. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.